Have you ever taken pictures of your action figures and then realized afterwards that an ugly picture of your in-laws was in the background somewhere? Or you cut a corner of like your stained underwear? It's okay. It's happened to all of us. The good thing is you can go in there and crop the image or retake it, I guess, if you can't really fix it. But anyways, let's get serious here for a second, because today's video, I guess, is kind of serious. Not really. I just wanted to showcase some of the cool sales that are happening right now on Big Bad Toy Store. I do this from time to time. I'll just go in on there and see what they're selling for clearance. And I will say a lot of this is, I guess, kind of a red flag for some of these manufacturers, because they've had these collectibles on sale for quite some time, or they're discounted to just like a ridiculous level. We saw this with Super 7 a few months ago when they started essentially giving the action figures away, but now we're starting to see it more consistently with other manufacturers. And I think it's important to keep an eye on this, because it kind of gives us a glimpse into what the community is thinking. What is it that they want to collect? What is it that they're moving on from? And I do feel like it's a good barometer for which manufacturer is being successful and which one is struggling to move merchandise. And let me start off by saying I'm not going to get too deep into the Super 7 line. If you guys are interested in checking out their clearance section, you guys can definitely do so on Big Bad Toy Store. Some of these are clearance by as much as 70%, some of them closer to like 65 to 60%, but still they're heavily discounted. But I already covered that in like an entire video. It's just one video dedicated to Super 7 and how I think they're definitely in trouble moving forward. If you guys want to check that out, I'll put a link in the description, or I'll throw up a thumbnail to that particular video. But moving on, there are some other killer deals happening at the moment. You have, for example, a lot of the 4 Horsemen action figures on sale, whether that's Mythic Legions or Cosmic Legions. Regardless of whether you're into the universe or the mythos for each individual franchise or universe, it really doesn't matter. Some of these characters can just be ported into multiple different displays. The stylings, the accessories, those little extra armor pieces, they just fit the aesthetics of other universes or other franchises, other lines. And so I think you can kind of mix and match some of these characters into multiple different sections of your collection. And so I definitely feel like it's a line that if you're interested in, now is a perfect opportunity. A lot of these action figures are, marked down by as much as like 35 to 30% off, which is a really good deal. Some of these that are usually going for like $40 to $45, you can now find them for about like $30, $35, $37. They're usually like very intricate action figures. They have a ton of sculpt work, a ton of attention to detail, and that's really what you want if you're jumping into a new line. Not to mention the accessory packs are also marked down by quite a bit. You can actually pick up some of these packs for as low as like $15 minus shipping. Obviously shipping is not included here, but $15, that's an absolutely killer deal. Lines like 4 Horsemen usually don't offer accessories on the cheaper side of things, because they're a smaller retailer, and if they offer accessory packs, it's usually to people that have already invested a lot of time and money and effort into that particular line. And so it's just nice to see accessories pop up for really affordable price points, even comparable to like some of these eBay or like overseas knockoff accessories. These are actually really well priced. Sometimes you'll buy one of these accessory packs from overseas for like about the same price, like $15 to $20, but the quality just isn't there. 4 Horsemen is, going a step above and beyond any of these overseas sellers, especially if you're buying from like China or, Japan or anything like that. I think 4 Horsemen just kind of completely knocks it out of the park when it comes down to their accessories. This is now like a perfect opportunity if you're looking to kind of flesh out some action figures, whether they're 4 Horsemen or not. This is the time to do so. They also have a ton of DC action figures on clearance, and a lot of these are actually somewhat limited, especially the Big Bad Toy Store exclusive color variants. It's usually just like a reissue or a re-release of an already existing DC action figure with a different color palette, different packaging. They're usually more limited. Some of these are limited to like 3,000, 5,000, 7,000. It depends on the character or the action figure. But just as a prime example, you have the Martian Manhunter. You have, the Joker Criminal action figure from the 3 Jokers storyline. Both of those are being offered at heavily discounted prices. Not only that, as I mentioned prior, they're very limited. So you can pick up a couple of these, and if you're one of those people that likes to see the value of their their collectibles go up in the foreseeable future, I guess it's to something that you can invest in. But there are other characters that are not exclusives, that are not repaints. You have, for example, the Jim Gordon as Batman action figure, which was one of the better releases. I think it's one of those action figures that kind of went under the radar. Pretty solid articulation, a ton of different accessories. There was the Hazmat Batman action figure that is also marked down by about like 50%. You also have the, what is it, the Black Adam from the Endless Winter storyline, also being shopped around for 50% off. Killer deals, great action figures. Some of these are kind of like the beginning of the DC multiverse from McFarlane, so they will have some minor little issues here and there. But if you're into the DC line from McFarlane, you'll know exactly what to expect. And so these are just great opportunities. There's also a Big Bad Toy Store exclusive Aquaman, which, as I said before, it's just a color variant. That one is also being shopped around at 50% off, which is an absolutely killer deal if you guys are interested. Just a ton of different DC collectibles, not just action figures. There are a ton of DC statues. If you guys are into statues, they also have some pretty good clearance deals going on over there. They also have another line that honestly doesn't get a lot of love from the community and content creators in general, and we're talking about the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom action figure line. These are essentially like anthropomorphic characters. The articulation on these action figures is modern and like top-notch. You can get them into some crazy dynamic, intricate poses. They usually come with armor pieces, a ton of different weapon accessories. I believe that the weapon accessory pack is also on clearance from Big Bad Toy Store. But if you guys are interested in just jumping into like a brand new line similar to the Four Horsemen, it's a line that just doesn't get a lot of love within the community. This is another great opportunity. I actually went to a local toy show not too long ago, and I was picking up the regular releases with armor pieces and a few extra weapons for about like $30. And at the time, I considered it an absolutely killer deal. The seller also reassured me that was probably the best price at the time. But now you can actually pick these up for under $30. I think they were like $23, $24 for the most part on Big Bad Toy Store. I think the base or army builder base body mold, which doesn't come with any extra accessories aside from like a couple of extra hands. I think 6 hands total, no extra armor pieces, no weapon accessory pieces. Those were being sold for under $20. So absolutely killer deals if you guys just want like anthropomorphic characters or action figures without any of the extra bells and whistles. You guys can also pick those up for absolutely killer deals. And as you guys can tell, there's definitely a theme going on here. We're talking about smaller manufacturers that are not as well known. And now we're taking a look at the Plunderlings action figure line, which, if I'm not mistaken, every single wave that they release, they give an opportunity to the consumer to be like at their ground level. So you can actually support the Kickstarter for each individual wave. I'm sure their next wave is also going to be available through the Kickstarter campaign. I guess you can kind of take the risk that way, although honestly at this point the manufacturer is, you know, well known. It's big enough to the point where like Big Bad Toy Store and Entertainment Earth will actually purchase a decent amount, so you can just go through them if you don't want to go through the whole Kickstarter process. But these action figures do have a little bit of a cult following. Personally, I don't own any of them, and you know, in the foreseeable future I do plan on, you know, picking up a couple just to try them out. But as I mentioned, it's about trying new lines out, it's about trying new manufacturers, and this is another prime example. Most of these action figures usually go for about like 40 to 45 depending on who you're picking them up from. I've seen them for as low as like maybe 35-ish, but they usually come with a decent array of weapons, a decent array of accessories, and so now you're starting to see a lot of these trickle out through Big Bad Toy Store for as low as $30, which honestly is not really that bad of a price. A lot of these have popped up in value, like if you look at the first few waves or the first few figures that were available through this manufacturer, like on eBay, some of these for quite some time had garnered quite a bit of value. I'm not sure, I haven't checked them recently, but if you guys are interested in checking, like I said, a brand new line out that not a lot of people have heard of, or I shouldn't say it's brand new, but I think it is brand new to a lot of collectors that mostly only collect like the main lines, stuff from Mattel, stuff from Hasbro, McFarlane. it's nice to see kind of like a breath of fresh air, and I think this is another prime example. Great deals happening at Big Bad Toy Store, and the Plunderlings are also being featured. So look, at the end of the day, there's a little bit of something for everybody. Even NECA has some clearance action figures on Big Bad Toy Store. I've already mentioned the whole Snyderverse 3-pack from Mezco that featured Batman, Superman, as well as the Flash. That 3-pack I think is like 50% off. It's probably the cheapest that I've ever seen that particular pack at. And the list goes on and on. There are a bunch of SH Figuarts action figures, a ton of Black Series action figures, especially stuff that's from like the Mandalorian series. A ton of different characters, a ton of different action figures. I honestly just wanted to take a couple of minutes to showcase some deals, but honestly, I could make an entire video talking about crazy deals happening on Big Bad Toy Store, but that's not what I'm going to do here today. I just wanted to show some highlights, and honestly, I think it was more about showcasing some new action figure lines, because it feels like we're always talking about Marvel Legends and the DC Multiverse and things of that nature, and in today's video, I wanted to switch it up, talk about some OMs that I don't usually talk about, which doesn't usually fare too well for the channel. Anytime I try to like go out of the scope of what I usually cover, it doesn't get a lot of views, but that's okay. It's about, you know, sharing the deals that are happening right now, and I feel like the collectors, the community should definitely be taking full advantage of them, because we just don't know how long they're going to be around. Let's not forget, prices are only going to get higher. You know, action figures are only going to get more expensive, and the quality is probably going to get pulled back a little bit. They're always going to come with less and less accessories, so now is the time to pick up stuff that is, you know, still available at affordable price points. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you guys plan on picking up any of these figures? Have you found any killer deals on Big Bad Toy Store recently? By the way, just in case you guys are wondering, Big Bad Toy Store does not sponsor this channel, okay? It's just like my go-to because they have the best promotional images. Sometimes they tend to have better deals than other websites, and I don't know, I just tend to kind of gravitate more towards them than any other manufacturer. But there you guys have it. If you guys want to check out the deals, you guys can do so. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Stay safe out there. Make sure to enjoy the hobby, pose your action figures, and stay tuned to the channel, because we are uploading on a daily basis. Sometimes it gets a little bit fatiguing, but we definitely enjoy it. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.